Hello and good day. I'm David Boles, and this is Boles.television. Hey, it's Boles.tv. And lots of interesting things to share with you today. The first one is I have a new microphone, which I guess you can kind of see. And I'm just going to turn this up for just a second, which is the television. This is Boles.television. Hey, it's Boles.tv. Ooh, it sounds better. So I have a story to tell you about the audio. But first, a little bit of background news. As you can see behind me, a lot of our fun is missing. We have wonderful backgrounds of balloons and fun things, and as the seasons change, so too does the background change. And the background is now a winter background because we are getting a wintry mix here on the East Coast. And it's a little interesting because back here, usually, it's a white wall with white snowflakes on it. And we usually have colorful things back there. So if it looks a little weird, and if our camera is going a little crazy focusing, that's why. Now, another couple of things. Two things are going on that are annoying me. And we're going to talk about being annoyed in a moment. The Misanthrope is here. They are washing the windows for the first time in 100 years. They're filthy. A lot of construction going on in our area, so all of the grit and the grime from all these construction sites comes and sticks itself to our windows and the windows of everyone in our high-rise building. And when they clean a high-rise building, they usually do one side at a time. So it's usually like 4 different days they come and clean your building. And we sent an email this morning saying, hey, they're washing on the south side. Be sure to, close the blinds on your windows so, the guys can't see in. And so, they're safe because otherwise they, I guess, might look at you too much and fall off. I don't know. And so the south side of the building is that side, okay? They're on this side of the building right now. And there's no way that they did the south side, finished it, and then are starting our side of the building. Doesn't make any sense. Whatever. But it's really strange because the windows, blinds are open. I've not had a chance to close them. And you can see the wires going zoom, zoom up and down. And it's all mechanical, and it's fascinating. And I guess these things that you see them on, these movable scaffolds, are like $1 million for a big building like ours. And for the bigger building that we have right across the way, $2 million. And they use that not just for washing your windows. They also use it for replacing your windows if something snaps or breaks, or if the facade of the building somehow needs to be repaired. They put like a gangplank outside your main window that they walk and work on, and they get there by using that window washing thing. Very interesting. Seems a little dangerous, but I guess it's all very safe and they're very careful. But with these high-rise buildings, I didn't know that, if your building gets broken by something, the repair is done outside your building on a high wire. Because I guess that's how the windows are installed, from the outside, not from the inside. It's very interesting. The other thing that's annoying me just a little bit is this idea of a tight apartment building, and there are 2 things that drive people crazy generally. 3 things. One is excessive noise, which is kind of accommodated by the modern building techniques that we all know and love. Thick walls, which are required in high rises because of fire problems. The new thinking generally is if there is a fire in the building, even on your floor, you don't leave, you close your door and you stay inside your apartment, because your apartment is sort of fireproofed up to some kind of minimum above, below, and on your sides. So you're like in your own protective box until the fire department can come and rescue you. So noise is not necessarily a big problem. But two things that really are a problem are smells. Number one, of course, is fish, because fish just travels. Someone can be cooking on the first floor and the smell of fish will go all the way up to the 70th floor. It's just the way it is. And right now today, excuse me for coughing, for the past half hour, someone is cooking onions. And they're cooking a lot of onions because they've been cooking this for a long time, and the smell is only getting stronger and more pungent. So, hey, first world problems. What are you going to do? I keep hearing banging outside our window, so I know the window washers are coming. And when they get here, it's very, I've watched them before, through the blinds, and they're very fast and efficient. They're not peering into your apartment at all. They're just washing your windows and moving on to the next one. And it's sort of a nice day today. I'm really kind of surprised where it's almost December 1st. And they're out there in cold weather, but not too much wind, cleaning the windows. Really fantastic. So what else is going on in the news? Lots of interesting things to share. First off is this. We have a whole new microphone. Now, if you have been a part of this live stream from the beginning, we started using a Mac, and then after about a year, we moved to a Windows machine because the Mac wasn't really fast enough to be able to do HD video streaming. Okay. So now we're on Windows 11, which was our first mistake. Because when we started using Windows 11, it was pretty new, I guess, and it's caused some problems. And the problems were that my beautiful Shure microphone and XLR mic did not seem to be supported at all by Windows 11. All of my mixers, all of my equipment, everything that had worked beautifully on my Mac, suddenly didn't work under Windows 11. And then you check the specs, and it's, the equipment is approved up to Windows 10. Well, what happened with Windows 11? No one's really answered that for me, and why things are going so strangely. That is a very bright, going on with that. Look, oh wow, that's interesting. It's a reflected light. It's a snowflake reflecting the light. Slightly annoying. So before I finish my story, I'm going to go move that just a little bit. Leaving the microphone on because we're having fun. But that's an interesting problem that I didn't know we had. And now we know we have it. And it's okay. Wrapped around itself. Aha! I think we've solved it. We'll find out. Coming back now live. Let's see if it's better. Now I kind of messed up the one above it, but it's not quite as glaring. Oh, and the one behind it, too, is also sort of glaring, too. Can work on that. So the only microphone I could get to work with Windows 11 was an Elgato mic. And we're Elgato here, everything. Microphones, cables, the lights, it's all Elgato. Because it works. Mac, it works. Windows 10, it works. Windows 11, it works. And it works. And so I had to kind of move to a USB mic solution. And if you know anything about that, it's okay, but it's not a, Shure XLR microphone. But I could not get this microphone to work. So for about a year, we suffered on with sort of bad mic quality. And it was unfortunate and sad. But there was nothing we could do about it because I couldn't get XLR to work. And finally, I was able to get from Elgato an XLR plug-in thing. So it plugs in USB into the computer, and then there's XLR out on the Wave XLR hardware device. And we tried a couple of them before, and they didn't work. And I know it's not Elgato, I know it's Windows 11. But now suddenly, since we tried it again, it appears to be working. And I did some tests over the weekend, did some tests with audio, video. It seems like we're back where we have reasonably better sound. And that's a really good thing as we try to endeavor to do our best job here on Boles.tv. Now, here's an interesting thought. I think it's interesting, at least. And that is, if you are learning a foreign language, and if you know, I am attempting my very best to learn Italian. Been studying, every day for about 4 months, I think. And I'm reasonably terrible. I know some vocabulary words. Like many students of foreign language, I get tripped up on verbs and past tense and future tense. And then you get discouraged and you go in the language groups and they say, look, if you're learning a new language, it takes you 3 years or more to get comfortable and fluent. So if you're in your first or second year, just keep doing it. Total immersion, watch Italian movies, watch Italian television, lots of interesting things you can do. And that's very helpful. And one thing I've discovered that I didn't really know was a thing, but it appears it is a thing, is this. Here's my new book. New Penguin Parallel Text. Short stories in Italiano. Okay? Now, it sort of matches my shirt, which I have to say I kind of like. Wasn't planned that way. What this does is very simply has a series of short stories, and they're sort of advanced, but this is the best part. On one side is English, and then on the other page is the direct translation in Italian. So you can compare and contrast. Do I know that word? What's this word? Let me break down this sentence. Let me see what my options are for working on my vocabulary and my sentence structure. Right? Neat. It works very, very well. So I've seen this for Spanish. They also have an Italian different publisher for poetry, I believe, and then like modern short stories. These are more classic short stories. But this is turning out to be a very new and interesting weapon in the fight for literacy in Italian. Slow process. We're doing the best we can. But with a book like this on your side, boy, it makes the learning really fun and easy. Now, the problem is, you can read white text on green background, right? Can you read this? You really can't read it at all. Black text on red. I can't read it in person either. It's impossible. That works. This, you have no idea what's being said. And I guess it's in Italian, so what does it matter? I don't know. Very strange. So as you know, I do a lot of work with AI. Artificial intelligence, which is actually not really very artificial at all. It's all very real. And I do AI art, AI chat, and I've recently sort of taken up using AI to be my collaborator in writing blog posts, Catheads in Space, the wonderful, ridiculous serial comedy that you can listen to on humanmeme.com. And I kind of use it for brainstorming and for running ideas. and seeing what the result is. Well, what do we think of this, and this? And then I ask AI, and AI spits back an answer. And does that work? No. What about that, and this? Spits back an answer. Well, yes, maybe. And it's a creative process that's actually very interesting. And in the theater especially, the big new thing is collaboration. We have to have a collaboration agreement. It used to be that the playwright or the lyricist in a musical or a play were the authors of the play. Now directors and choreographers want a part of participation points via collaboration as creators of the play or the musical. And that's always bothered me because I don't think that's really true. But if you go to graduate school or if you're in theater, that's the new thing. Everybody's equal. Everybody's a creator. But the playwright is very rarely respected, especially on an even ground with the director. The director is always placed above the playwright, which it should be the other way around. So when you're forced in certain situations to collaborate, sometimes it can get a little funky because not everyone is a great collaborator. And I kind of know what I like. I know my taste. I know who I am. I can get things done on my own. And when you are forced to collaborate with other people in a group setting, in school, whatever, you sort of have to, listen to other people, come to an agreement, a consensus. It's all decision by committee. Not my thing, really. I don't like it. And when you look at the history of performance, theater, art, are these collaborations that are most successful, or are these individuals with very distinct and very definitive ideas? You think of the great artists of our time, they're individuals. You think of the great authors of our time, they're great individuals. Great performers, singers, dancers, they are featured, they are individuals. Now, some people might say, they got to be that way because of the collaborative process. Maybe, maybe not. So yesterday I was sent a survey by the Authors Guild, of which I'm a member, asking about AI. They're all very upset about AI, that AI has stolen all their work and rewritten it. And as I've discussed many times here before, none of that makes any sense. Because how do we learn? No writer has not read another book, ever. So you take these experiences, what you've read, you place them in your body, in your mind, and then you come up with your own idea. Same with images and art. But because of ego and temperament, a lot of people think, no one before me has thought of this idea but me. And the answer in reality is 100 million people have had that idea before you had it. But because today we believe in the individual mind and the individual is more important than the community thought, the individual gets offended very easily. I don't feel that way. People steal my stuff, whatever. I don't care, because once I write something, it's over, it's done. I start on something new. And there are people you meet, artists, book writers, who the first thing they ever wrote is the only thing they ever wrote. And they live their whole life around that one thing. That's not me. So when I discover the power of AI and how I can perhaps change who I am, how I work, by allowing myself to be enhanced by this AI process and custom GPT prompts, where I can work with my AI collaborator on creating things times 100 that I could never do by myself, but with AI, which becomes an extension of myself, which is trained on my experience and my work, I extrapolate myself and I become greater than I ever am alone. And I know that bothers people, and I know that bothers the Authors Guild, because as I said after I answered all the questions that no, I don't care if they steal my work, I don't need to be paid for it, I don't mind AI. The final thing is, what final comments do you have? And my final comment was, the Misanthrope finally knows who the best collaborator is for him. Me. The Misanthrope. Now, you think, oh my gosh, what's a Misanthrope? That sounds just terrible. Well, it is, but not really. I'll show you. So I asked our AI friend, oh, and these here on the side, you can see all these are all my custom GPTs. These are all, I guess you'd say, bots that I created that write or create images or teach me Italian, my Italian tutor right there, who teach me how to speak to them to get the best collaboration possible. And we've had some success. So I asked, what is a misanthrope? And what play was written about it? What is the plot? I mean, I know the answer, but I want to see what ChatGPT says. ChatGPT says this: a misanthrope, hey, is a person who harbors a deep-seated hatred, distrust, or general disdain for humanity and human society. This disposition leads them to avoid human company and society as much as possible. No comment. The concept of misanthropy has been a recurring theme in literature and philosophy, often used to explore deeper questions of morality, society, and human nature. The most famous play about a misanthrope is The Misanthrope, written by French playwright Molière in 1666. So this idea has been around a long time. This classic of French literature is a satirical comedy that delves into themes of hypocrisy, honesty, and social manners, and the plot of The Misanthrope. Alceste is the embodiment of a misanthrope. He's a French aristocrat who despises the superficiality and deceitfulness of social conventions and courtly manners. He's in love with a witty, flirtatious young widow. And then the story goes on, right? Very interesting. The Misanthrope is noted for its exploration of these themes in a comedic context, using the character of Alceste to critique the superficiality of social interactions and the often contradictory nature of human desires and principles. The play remains a significant work in the Western literary canon, often studied for its intricate character dynamics and insight into social mores of Molière's time. So I find that really quite fascinating. I have to fix my box here because I've changed myself. So if I am the misanthrope, and I'm not saying I am, but I could be, what does it mean that I have found my perfect collaborator in AI? It means that I can work by myself, but with myself. I become my best collaborator because I, the misanthrope, who doesn't have anything to do with people, doesn't have to deal with people because I'm dealing with my AI. And you can give it compliments and talk to it as a human being, and it will remind you, I'm not human, I don't have feelings or emotions. Well, it doesn't matter, my friend, because you're really terrific, and I'm learning everything that I need about the world from you in an exponential way. I know this much about that, but you know everything about everything. So you can only help me make my research, my script writing, my comedy, my podcasts, my blogs better by becoming the exponential version of me, the misanthrope. So that's how I feel about AI. I think it's really terrific. It's full of imagination and grace. You say, thank you so much for helping me, and we'll say, hey, I enjoyed collaborating with you too. We'll do more next time. And that is where the magic of AI enters the chat. And we're going to take a very brief break, returning in a moment. You hear the banging? That's the guy's boots outside our window in our high rise cleaning the windows. It's crazy. I look out there and I see boots clanging on our window. Oh, they're banging. I guess they're cleaning us. It's our turn. Very weird. It's a very weird experience. Oh, now they're yelling at each other. Uh-oh, maybe it's because I forgot to turn to put down my windows. I can see them out there. To close my shades. I forgot to do it again. I should have done it on the break, but I thought they were right there and I got too scared. Oh, they're banging on my window. I think they're telling me they're not happy. It's a weird sensation. I hope they can't open a window from out there. Yeah, they're banging on the window again. I hope they don't see me. Oh, they can't. I'm hiding. They have no idea. Maybe they're watching live. I don't know. More banging. I've experienced the window washing before, and they've never banged on the window like that before. And I know they're not trying to get in because our windows only open that much. Why? The windows only open that much because a long time ago, in a galaxy not too far away, the windows on high-rises in our city used to open all the way. And because of that, not that anybody hurt themselves, although animals, cats, dogs have gone out the window, yes, to their uneventful fate. But I guess a measuring tape, right, which is like in an enclosed piece of metal, was on a windowsill, and they were constructing the building from the inside, and the windows were open, and somehow that measuring tape got knocked off the windowsill, fell, and hit somebody on the head below. I don't know if they died or not, but it was a big thing in all the newspapers. So a law was then passed saying you cannot open your windows all the way on these high-rises, and they're all mechanically built to only open this far. Now, this far is enough to send a measuring tape out the window, but I guess theoretically you can't. It's probably safer for kids, but a cat can go fit outside on this, and they have. Some of them come back, sometimes they don't come back. So on break, I was thinking about, AI and the conversation we just had and how things work and how things echo. And it's going to be an interesting time these next 5 years because AI is going to take over our lives and our world. And in many ways it already has, but people just either don't know about it or don't accept that it's already happened. And it's not necessarily a terrible thing, as I just previously discussed with you. But what's really interesting, changing topics, is the idea of football. And I'm wearing my Nebraska shirt today, in the spirit of having fun together. And interesting things are going on, especially with the Nebraska football program, because the athletic director has gone before the Board of Regents and says that he wants to build an extension and update to Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, and spend $450 million doing it. And the same week, there's reports from the state of Nebraska that they're once again cutting funding to the university that the football team plays for. Now, Nebraska is a football school. The whole state is a football state. That's their whole identity. And to even question anything going on with money is, you being unfaithful to the Big Red. And the $450 million is not going to be spent by the university. It's all in donations, and people say, well, why can't the university take up donations for $450 million and put it in the scholarship fund? And people say, well, without the football team, there wouldn't be a scholarship fund because the football team contributes to the university. It's just all ridiculous. So, you're closing programs and getting rid of the Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity, and you're, improving your football stadium. But one interesting thing that Trev Alberts, the athletic director at Nebraska, said, and he just got a doubling of his salary, a raise to I think 1.7 million a year, something like that, because it was rumored that other schools were contacting him to snake him away from the Big Red. And he said an interesting thing. He said, there's a move for the student athlete to unionize. And for 40 years, Senator Ernie Chambers from Nebraska, representing Omaha, has said for as long as I've been alive, over 50 years, that players at the University of Nebraska football should be paid. They aren't student athletes, they are the money bringers, and they should be put on the payroll. He said they already get scholarship money, they already get room and board, free food, extra. They do whatever they want at the university. They have tutors to do all their work for them if they need to. So why not just pay them? Oh, outrage for 30, 40 years. Oh, outrage. Ernie Chambers is off his rocker. Ernie Chambers is trying to bankrupt the state of Nebraska. Meanwhile, things have changed. And students have sort of banded together. They want to now create a union. They want a share of the big multi-million-dollar deals, billion-dollar deals that are given to their schools and their conferences for competing in football. And Trev Alberts said, look, this is coming. It's going to happen. And we're going to pay for it. The university's not going to pay for it. The football program will pay for it, for the donations. But he said the way things are going in revenue sharing with the students, I need to budget about $40 million a year to pay our students, our student football players. Now, your average team has what, 85, 80 students, players, student athletes. And that, averages out 40 million, 80, $500,000 per player per year. You do 4 years at a school like Nebraska, you could pocket $2 million. And that's in addition to your room, board, scholarship, meow, meow. Now that's life-changing money. You can make a lot of money playing football. And right now, with the name, image, and likeness that we have discussed ad nauseum here on Boles.tv, we have learned that routinely at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and other schools, offensive line players right now, no revenue sharing, right now are being paid, name, image, and likeness, by outside entities, businesses, $300,000 apiece to play football. And the funny thing about name, image, and likeness is that, as I understand it, the university cannot be directly involved. The university can support, like a booster group that raises money on behalf of the university to pay these students to play for these universities. Well, yesterday, the new coach, first-year coach, Matt Rule, had a press conference. And Matt is always very direct. He's very good to his coaches and players. He says to all of his coaches, look, if you get a better deal, go. I'm not going to restrict you. I'm not going to beg you. You want more money, I'll get you more money. If you just want to go, go. Because that's what I believe in football. So when he talks like that, the guy isn't putting one over on you. He isn't just telling you something to, wind you up. He's being direct and honest. And so he was yesterday. Nebraska's head coach Matt Rule said yesterday a good quarterback costs between $1 and $2 million. In the transfer portal. Now there's Matt Rule. Good guy. I like him a lot. Nebraska head coach Matt Rule is one of many coaches who will be scouring the transfer portal for players who can make immediate impacts next year. Now, the transfer portal is interesting. You used to be, you played for a team, and you signed for a team, and you were there for 4 years, period. You could not leave. You could try to go to a different school if you weren't playing very much, but you either had to sit out a year or you had to beg them, your school, to release you unconditionally. And some schools would not release. They'd say, no, we're going to punish you. You want to go somewhere else? You can't go. You sit out a year, you get older, you get fat, and then you go play somewhere else. Well, now with the transfer portal, see, this is all part of this union bargaining that the kids are getting into. You can go in there in the transfer portal if you're not happy where you are and go to another team, and another team can go grab you. It's like a never-ending draft of college football players. Okay, sounds fair enough to me. Portal. And if you happen to be a good player, you're sort of up for bids. Okay, so I live in California. I play for a great football team, but, I'm second string. I want to start somewhere. Okay, you want me to go to Nebraska, a very conservative state, red state. They're killing the university through budget cuts. It's cold. You guys aren't winning anything. Okay, I'll go, and I'm very good, but it's going to cost you $2 million. I love it. And the thing is, when you're a terrible quarterback problem, like Nebraska has, we had 3 quarterbacks this year, and none of them did anything except throw interceptions and fumble. It was painful to watch. You're not going to spend $2 million on a quarterback. You're going to spend $4 million on 2 quarterbacks. Because you can't just have one quarterback who's really good, because if anything happens to him, then you don't have anything. You probably, if you're really being smart, you want to go in there into the portal and spend $6 million and get 3 high caliber quarterbacks. Maybe they're of varying ages, so one plays and then goes. And so they're willing to sit or to be a backup for $2 million. Now, that's the way of the world. And the fact that Matt Rule said that, I think, is just terrific. Matt Rule told reporters on Wednesday that he believes a good quarterback in the portal costs $1.5 million, $2 million. Jeff Sims, a junior transfer from Georgia Tech, opened the year as the starting quarterback for Nebraska, but was quickly supplanted by sophomore Heinrich Haberg, who completed just 49% of his passes, but led Nebraska with 967 passing yards. So that's where we are as the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Not that we're beggars, but Matt Rule was pretty much telling the boosting people, you got a lot of work to do. You want to have a good football team. You're not going to have a good football team if you don't have an outstanding, excellent $2 million quarterback. Now imagine you're a kid, 18, 19, 20. Hey, here's $2 million. Come play for Nebraska. You'll start. Now, if you don't have the right composition as a human being, that's a lot of pressure. They're not paying you $2 million to come and throw interceptions or to fumble or to lose games. You got to be the right kind of person. So there's that. That's why you have to have 2 other guys worth $2 million too who want to come in there, and they all challenge each other and they all push each other. And then that kind of, takes the pressure off of the one guy who's getting $2 million. Because the fans are going to eat him up. He looks the wrong way. They're going to eat him up. $2 million for that? He looked the wrong way. $2 million. Look how he walks. He doesn't walk right. $2 million for that. It's really a no-win situation. But if you have 3 guys who can't walk right, who are each paid $2 million, well, then that's okay. Because they can all, share the heat. But that's the state of college football today. You want to have an outstanding player, the player says, show me the money. As it should be. Because why should, a school like Nebraska, I think they get like, what, $150 million a year from Big Ten participation? And they're a losing football team for at least a decade, probably two. And you're a student and you say, look, you want me to go out there and bang my head and break my shoulder and hurt my knee, and I only get, $3,000 a year in tuition, whatever. And the reason they did the name and likeness thing, because people were getting paid under the table by boosters. So they said, let's just legitimize it, pay them above the table, not have the university involved, wink, wink, have the boosters of the university involved, wink, wink, and they could pay the players. So this is all very different from what college football used to be. And now, as people said for many years, college football is just becoming the farm team for the NFL. Except they're going to be paid really, really well. So look out. It's coming for you. Name, image, and likeness. $2 million a head. Now for something else. So over the weekend, the lovely and delightful Jana Marie Sweetheart and I watched a movie together. And it's an older movie, like 10 years old. We didn't know about it. We were just, kind of looking around. Tom Hardy, who is really one of my favorite actors of all time. He was Bane and Batman. Been in a lot of Venom. He's the Venom character. And I think he's done Peaky Blinders. He's done everything. And he's never the same in anything. You don't even know it's Tom Hardy until you look at the credits. Oh my gosh, that was Tom Hardy. And so there's this movie. And we watched the preview to see if, it was closed captioned for the Jana Marie Sweetheart. And it was. And the whole preview was like a minute and a half of Tom Hardy on the phone in a car. And I thought to myself, well, this is not going to be very enjoyable for Jana Marie, because this guy's going to be talking on the phone for an hour and a half. And by golly, that's exactly what happened. Tom Hardy on the phone for an hour and a half, talking about concrete and cement and trucks, betraying his wife, and he's driving on a mission to go to a woman that he happened to impregnate, and he doesn't want to be like his father, and so he decides to do the right thing and drive 2 hours to be there and to meet his new child. Okay, sounds kind of weird, but the way it plays out is really terrific. And it's all because of Tom. He is the show. As Jana Marie said, it's a one-man show starring Tom Hardy. And it is. And he's absolutely compelling. He's driving a car, talking on the phone, and you're listening and involved in every single word he says. Now that's an actor. And Tom knows he's good because he absolutely is. And so as we step through these images, I just have to say, if you have a chance to see the movie Locke, L-O-C-K-E, watch it. Because it's just a tremendous, unbelievable acting turn by the great Tom Hardy. And what was really fun was when I looked this up later, when I looked at the cast, you only see Tom on screen. Everybody else are calling him on his car phone. And the woman who is birthing his child is Olivia Colman. Now, she's really terrific. She's made a lot of movies. She's fantastic. And she's even more fantastic in this very small, strange, but interesting role as the woman. And Andrew Scott, frantic. He's the replacement for Ivan, who got fired, and they're doing the biggest concrete pour in all of Europe. And Tom Holland was in it. Spider-Man was voicing the voice of one of his sons. So in some ways it's like a radio play, and in some ways it's just this totally unique, very strange thing that you can't really explain to someone. You just have to say, look, trust me, go watch it. You will not be disappointed. That I guarantee you. And so today we finish with one of our favorites, the lovely and talented live streamer, Pokimane. Now, what's going on with Pokimane? I used to stream on Twitch exclusively, and Pokimane at that time was on Twitch. And then a lot of the main streamers on Twitch moved over to Kick because they were paying more money, guaranteeing advertising. Smart. And so we didn't go. We were on Kick for a while, but the people who would comment were not very friendly. So now we're on YouTube right now, exclusively. We might go back to multi-streaming, simulcasting, whatever they call it. So Pokimane is very funny. She plays video games and sits in a chair and talks to people. And sometimes she takes time off, and sometimes she's there. She has a beautiful cat. She posts pictures of herself online. They're always very silly, and she often has photographs of herself where her eyes are closed. It must be some kind of inside joke because she does it a lot. And I find it very funny. So as you can see, this is just a general search on the idea of Pokimane. And then she fell into some controversy. The first one was she decided to, I guess, sell her own brand of cookies. And they were $28 a box, and her fans, who are kind of young and immature, complained that's too much money. And she said, look, you pay $5 a month to watch me, you can afford to buy a box of cookies. And then she said, well, Girl Scout cookies are the same price. And people said, you're not a Girl Scout. And it was this big thing. And I believe she ended up apologizing. She wants to do better. Okay, who cares? I mean, if people don't want to buy your cookies for $28, that's okay. And she didn't really care. But her fans were like, no, you can't have expensive cookies because we all want to buy some. And then, I think it was last week or so, Pokimane announced that she is pregnant with child. And I've always said, what are these, beautiful young streamers going to do when they become like the rest of us, older and probably uglier as they age? And I always thought Pokimane is set up perfectly because she's very warm, very friendly, has a cat, very caring about people. And Pokimane to Pokimom, right? It's just very cute. And then her stream eventually in a few years will become about raising her child and sharing information. And that's how you grow a channel beyond the young kids who just, watch because she has beautiful hair. And everybody comments on Pokimane's hair. If she has it straight, if she has it natural, which is kind of frizzy and curly, people want a certain style of Pokimane hair. They don't want the natural look, which upsets her as well. So you can imagine when Pokimane revealed her pregnancy that people who tend to be her fans are young and inexperienced, and perhaps you could say they live in a fantasy world where they think one day Pokimane and I were going to be together. And it's that fantasy that then propels them to watch her and chat in her chat channel and buy her not Girl Scout cookies for $28. And so when she, I don't want to say made the mistake, but when she made the decision to reveal her pregnancy online, there was tremendous outrage in what can only be described as the young male audience, who were outraged and infuriated that she had the temerity to get pregnant on them behind their back. And I'm looking for the pregnancy photo, and I'm not finding it because she posted it somewhere. And the photo I saw, she was very super pregnant. So we'll go back and back. Pokimane pregnancy. And the point I'm making is it's really unfortunate that a terrific woman who's interesting, a very successful streamer, I would say she does indeed. See, these are people making fun of Pokimane. And if she is pregnant with child, why can't you celebrate? Why can't that be part of her life? Why can't you be nice to her as she has been nice to you all of these years by, entertaining you, by giving you the opportunity to be who you want to be, by listening to her and learning from her? And if you don't want to learn from her anymore because she charges $28 for cookies, or because she is now pregnant with child and it's not your child and you're sort of, jealous. So here's a picture from Pokimane. People said this dress couldn't fit two people in it at once. If you ask me, it's holding me and my boyfriend just fine. I don't know if she wrote that or someone else did, but it's kind of funny. That's the quote. So not only were the young people dismayed that she was pregnant, but they were dismayed the fact that she was, I guess you could say, off the market, because Pokimane was no longer available to them. So Pokimane says she actually is pregnant. And I guess for a couple of months before she was ready to announce it, people were going crazy and, asking her, are you really pregnant? So when she confirmed it and that she had a longtime boyfriend, the outrage was very real and very hot. And I guess, you have to expect it in some ways, because Pokimane, was selling a certain image, carefree, gamer girl. And now it's like, oh boy, you are now Pokimom, and you're no longer the fun Pokimane. Because now all of your attention is going to be on this new baby and not your listeners, your viewers. It's a hard thing to handle. But I think that if Pokimane does it right, she can really expand the Pokimane empire into really interesting new ways. She can be the new cool mom, right? Who can still have friends and still relate to her audience. And her audience might change a little bit. Some of the young, impatient people will probably stop watching, but maybe she'll get some more mature people who share her vision and her want for a better life. And that's how you can then propel your online life beyond that of just being a game player. Then you're moving into the realm of living an interesting and exciting life. So that's our show. We've talked about a lot of things. I thank you so much for being here. All the links that we talked about today, I will post on our Discord server. And here is the address one more time, just in case you don't have it handy. So until the next time, I'm David Boles. This has been Boles.tv. It's Boles.television. Coming to you live from the East Coast of these United States. Take care, be well. I'll see you soon. Bye.